Yeah, man, I was talking to one guy that flew down here from Jersey for the contest. I mean, I get it's a lot of money, but dang, I hate flying, man. Like, it's not so much I'm scared of crashing or dying in a crash, because I know you probably won't feel it or anything. I mean, you'll know it's coming, but you won't feel it. But it's more so the people, like the assholes you gotta fucking fly with. You got the people behind you kicking the back of your seat every 2 minutes. The people in front of you reclining like there's nobody behind them. You can't even use the fucking tray. Their seat's all in your knees. Like, what's going on? You're not about to, like, sleep for 10 hours straight. Like, what are we doing here? Before you even board, it's like the rich people get to board before you. They're first class, and it's like first class boarding. They're skipping up all happy, basically strolling to the front desk, looking back at you like, these broke motherfuckers. And then when you get on, you gotta pass them. They're looking up, judging you with those eyes. The only solace you do have is in the unfortunate event of a crash, they're going to die first probably. But then you remember that even if they do die first, they'll be in heaven first. So not only in life are you ahead of me, in death you are as well? This can't be fair. Yeah, last time I went to the airport, I saw this girl in those yoga pants. You know, not the old yoga pants, but like the newer ones that look like they have like a wedgie. But it's like a comfortable wedgie and it looks good. The one, you know, the pants that look like they've been painted on. They don't leave anything to the imagination. Yo, why didn't they have those when I was a kid? Bro, you don't even need porn if you go to the gym. How are those legal? Not that I'm complaining. Yo, I should be able to sue if I hurt myself because of your distraction. Matter of fact, don't even call it the gym anymore. Just call it the desert. Because all you seeing is camel toes and everybody thirsty. But yeah, fine girls motivate you, man. You ever been at the gym on a treadmill, elliptical, on the bike or something, and some fine girl gets on the one next to you, and you start going faster? Ain't been to the gym in 10 years, now you going max incline, max speed. Even in class, like if you got fine girls in your class, they make you want to go to class, they make you want to be there. I remember I had a yoga class, there were fine girls in that one, and the teacher was fine on top of that. Bro, the dudes had like perfect attendance in that class. But all my teachers, like when I was growing up in middle school, grade school, and high school, all of them were like either old or guys. I think like only 1 week we had like some fine substitute teacher. And she was real fine. Bro, I saw people I thought had dropped out come back just for that week. Bro, teachers should be fine like OnlyFans models. Like, I'm not saying they should be nude or anything, but I mean, show some cleavage, booty shorts. You get a lot more engagement, trust me, from the students and the parents, at least the dads. I'm not saying you should get rid of all the old people, all the old teachers, you know, that experience counts for a lot and all that. I mean, maybe just put them in like a basement or something, have them tell the models in the class what to teach. And like, the models don't really have to know anything. They just have to look good and say what the real teacher says. I guarantee you a lot more guys would graduate. I guess what I'm trying to say is if you want A's and B's, maybe bring in some double D's. But truth be told, maybe I would have done better in school had I had better looking teachers. If I had fine teachers, I probably would guarantee it. Then I wouldn't have had to do like security for a year after I graduated. Bro, I remember I was doing security in Dallas one time, checking IDs, and there was this hot drunk girl that came up to me, and she's like, "You're hot. Let me see your dick." Like, I was like, what? I was turned on, don't get me wrong, but I was like, what? Because no one had ever asked me that before. But, you know, I'm like all professional. I'm working, you know, and she goes in. But then after she left, I started thinking more about it. And yeah, I was trying to be professional. That's why I didn't show her. But I'm thinking if I had like a huge one, like a porn star one, I probably would have showed her. As a matter of fact, I probably would have told her to take it out. But, you know, she was like a drunk white girl, you know. I didn't want to disappoint her. Maybe she had never seen a black guy's dick in real life. Maybe the only dicks from black guys she saw were through porn videos, and she wanted to, I don't know, see if it was true. I didn't want to be the one to disappoint her. Like she's expecting King Kong, but instead the chimp from Planet of the Apes comes out. And he's all emaciated. Like my dick's like the alphabet. No, don't get me wrong. Not that it's long. It's not a BBC. It's more like an ABC. It's average. But yeah, at least it's not small. I mean, I feel bad for guys that have to deal with that, man. Because that's the first thing girls go to you if they're mad or after a breakup. If you don't have a huge dick, that's exactly what they'll go to. Little dick ass boy. Like, what would be the female equivalent of that? You can't say, oh, small boobs. Because they might have a big ass. If they got a small ass, they might have big boobs. If they don't have an ass or boobs, they might have a pretty face. Like, what would be the female equivalent to a guy's small dick? I don't know. Smelly coochie? Like, I've dated a lot of women, and I've never had to deal with that, luckily, except one time. There's this girl I was dating. We had been dating for about a week, and she calls me over. She's all like, do you want to hang out, watch a movie, drink a little bit? So I'm like, for sure, let's do this. So I go over, we're watching a movie, we're drinking wine. I didn't really drink wine like that, but, it was cool. And then things get heated up, start kissing. She's like, do you want to go to the bedroom? I'm like, for sure. So we're kissing in there. She's on her back, laying down on the bed. I'm sucking on her lips, go down to her neck, and working my way lower, kissing her boobs, then down to the stomach, her abs. She was really in shape, which this surprised me. Because I'm a giver. Like, I like giving. Like, this is my favorite thing to do. So I'm really getting excited about what I think's about to happen. So I'm going lower and lower, and I'm slipping off her yoga pants. And then I start kissing her inner thighs. And then that's when it hits me. Like, it hit me. Like, that smell. Like, it wasn't like a normal smell, like, that you could wash off. Like a homeless smell. They've just been out for a while. Just taking a good shower and you're good. No, this smell, like, came from inside. And so, I try to play it off. I had never encountered this before, so I just hold my breath. I start working my way back up. And up to that point, I was rock hard. Like, I was rock hard. But that was such a turnoff. Like, I went from The Rock to Pee Wee Herman faster than you can buy a movie ticket. But anyway, I'm hoping she doesn't notice. So, like I said, I'm holding my breath, kissing her stomach, then her titties, and back to her neck, then back to her lips. And I'm like, well, the weather is nicer up here. Let's stay up here. And I could tell she wants me to put it in, and I'm trying to get it back up without her noticing. So I finally get it back up, and I put it in, even though I could still kind of smell it. And that first thrust, bro, I promise that was a mistake, because the first thrust, it was like all the air from below just came shooting up forward. I'm like, this has to be what they use in gas chambers. This has to be the exact same thing Hitler used. Or at least part of it. So that was the first thrust, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. So I do whatever mental gymnastics I have to, and go again, thrust again. And again, the same thing happened. All that air, that nasty putrid air just rushed back forward, all into my nostrils. And I'm like, if I can smell this, like, she has to be able to smell it. Like, what is this? What are we talking about here? Unless she's just so used to it, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, bro, I can't do this. So I make up something. I'm like, hey, my stomach hurts. It must be the wine. It's really messing up my stomach. Which my stomach hurt, but I don't think it was because of the wine. And she's real cool. She's like, oh, I understand. That's totally fine, And I'm like, oh, yeah, for sure. We can get back to this another. Like, I can't wait to get back to this. Just straight lying through my teeth. And so I go in the bathroom to wash off. Keep in mind, I had only had 2 thrusts. Remember that. 2 in and outs. And as I'm washing off, like, I damn near used half her soap bottle just trying to get the smell off me, because now it was on me. I'm scrubbing hard as hell trying to get this smell off. Needless to say, we didn't really talk after that. But she was real cool. Shortly after, I was dating another girl. She was a party girl. We had went to a Spurs game out in San Antonio, and on the way back, I got a DUI. Yeah, they caught me coming back from the game in one of those checkpoints. So I go to court and they're like, alright, Phillip, you can either go to jail for 5 days and pay a huge fine, or pay a small fine, go to 3 months of classes and 3 months of AA meetings, and no jail time. So obviously I took the second option. Call me a pussy, but fuck jail, man. I don't want to spend a fucking day there. And besides, I couldn't afford that big ass fine. I would have still been paying on it. And that was 6 years ago. So I'm going to these meetings, these AA meetings, and then some of y'all know what it is, but if you haven't heard of it, or if you're not really familiar, you just go in there and you're like, hey, I'm Phillip, I'm an alcoholic. And it doesn't matter if you're an alcoholic or not. Just say you're an alcoholic, because if you don't, everybody in there is going to think that you think you're better than them and you have a problem they don't have. And even if that is true, why make enemies? So I'm like, I'm Phil and I'm an alcoholic, which I didn't think I was either, but whatever. And part of the court stipulations was that I get something called a mentor. Now, a mentor in AA is just basically another person. They could be older or younger, doesn't really matter, but they kind of just walk you through the process of sobriety. There's someone to lean on if you don't really feel comfortable confiding in someone else about your struggles and whatnot. They help you with their experience and fighting alcoholism and all that. Really good idea, right? But I had this guy, he was like a Vietnam vet. He had lost his family to alcoholism after the war. His kids wouldn't talk to him. Nobody would talk to him. And that's what kind of drove him to what they call rock bottom. So he had been sober for like 16 years, rekindled a relationship with his family and everything. But he was like a super hard ass. He was hard on me. Like every 5 minutes he called and be like, hey, you know, what's going on? How are you doing? How are you holding up? And I appreciate it. But man, real no nonsense type of guy. And he would try to get me to go to the meetings he'd go to. He had like one home meeting that he went to. And I didn't really want to go there mainly because he was there. I mean, like I said, not a bad guy, but I knew he'd want to sit with me during the meeting. And he'd talk to me for like 30 minutes before the meeting. And he'd ask me questions after. And then he'd want to go out to eat at a restaurant or something just so we could talk more about sobriety. So no thanks, I'll pass. So I'm checking out all these meetings around town. And out in North Austin, I find this meeting where like all the hot girls go to. It's like all the alcoholic hot women in the city go to this meeting. And it was far away from my mentor's meeting. So I'm like, hey, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Now during these meetings, if y'all don't know, all they do is just after you introduce yourself, you know, hey, I'm Phillip, I'm an alcoholic. They go around the room and volunteers usually, like they don't make anyone get up and talk, but volunteers will get up and talk about their story. They'll get up in front of the room and tell everybody something. Hopefully they could, you know, inspire you to keep going strong or avoid a lot of the pitfalls and let you know you're not alone and just provide like their story. Now, naturally, I never got up and told mine. I mean, what was I going to say? I mean, I'm here because the court told me if I didn't come, I was going to go to jail, and I only have 1 DUI. No, there are people coming way harder than that. So anyways, it's about 2 months, and I only got a month left, and I'm going to these meetings. The requirement was only 3 a week, so I'm like, okay, whatever, I can do this. And they're interesting, I'm not going to lie. But I never got up and spoke. But then one day it was just so boring. Like everyone just had boring stories, and I had heard these stories so many times before. So one day the leader of the meeting, her name was, well, I can't tell you, it's supposed to be anonymous, but she gets up talking. She had huge boobs. I could swear they were implants. She was like the MILF type, like the hot older, like 40s, but still hot. And she was all tatted, like she was a bad girl back then. Well, anyways, no one wants to get up there and talk, and it had all been boring the whole night. And there was like another hot girl that was there that I hadn't seen before. So I'm like, fuck it. Let's have some fun. So I get up there on the stage and everyone's looking at me because they know me. Like, they don't know me personally because I don't really talk to people there, but they know I exist because I've been coming there. So they all perk up like, whoa, he's going to get up and talk? I wonder what he's going to say. And you know, I didn't want to disappoint him. So I decided to make up a story. I mean, it's not like they'd know. And the meeting leader that was signing my slips after the meeting every time was all for it. And so I go into this. I say, "Hi everyone, my name's Phillip, and I'm an alcoholic." And everybody's like, "Hi Phillip." And so I say, I was born in South Africa during this time called apartheid, where black people couldn't really be in the streets. I had just read Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime, like a month before that, so I kind of knew a little bit about this. So anyway, I'm like, yeah, my father had gotten shot by the rebels and killed, so it was just me and my mom. And it got so bad in South Africa that we had to try to escape. So it's just me and her trekking through Africa, and we see somewhere, this place called America. And she's like, that is where we need to go. So on foot, she has me on her back, making our way through Africa. She gets in the water and nearly swims half away, but a boat came by just as we were about to drown and rescued us. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like 5. They drop us off in South America, and during this time in South America, we're going through the jungles. And as we're trekking through the Amazon, I remember being so thirsty. We didn't have any water, anything to drink. And then one day, a miracle happened. Near a tree beneath the bush, my mother found a bottle. Had brown liquid in it. So she opened it up and smelled it just to make sure it wasn't pee. It was alcohol. We had gone 4 days without water, and this was all we had. And we didn't know when we make it back to civilization. I mean, water has to be in it, right? So for the next 3 days, we made our way through the jungle on that one bottle of, I think it was Jack Daniels. And every step my mom took, I just remember her saying, one step at a time, one day at a time. I just remember her saying, one day at a time, one step at a time. And then we finally get to Mexico. And as we're crossing, my mom is shot by the border patrol. But I don't have time to cry because now they're chasing me. So I get away after squeezing through a fence and wind up in America. I find this house, this huge house. It looked like a mansion. Knocked on the door, and the people that lived there saw that I was a child and took me to the police station. After realizing I had no family, they sent me to the orphanage. And a couple years later, a family finally picked this little black boy up. It was a family in Denver. So I moved to Denver. And I'm making friends, but not too many. I'm like the only black guy in the whole state. And in high school, I'm getting bullied. It wasn't just me, it was a couple other guys. A few of my really close friends. Eric was one of them. And we bonded over that bulliness. They were white, but this was a way for us to really bond. And one day in April, I get to school and I see them, but they're kind of parked away like in one of the further parking lots. And I go over and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Why y'all way over here? And they're like doing stuff. I don't know, they just look nervous. And they say, Phillip, bro, don't go to school today. And I'm like, what? It's out? I didn't hear anything. And they're like, no, man, trust me. Don't go to school today. And the way they looked at me, I didn't know what to think, but I knew they were serious. So I thought something might happen. I didn't know they were going to do something. So a couple days later, my family moved from Littleton to here in Texas, where we now reside, and been living ever since. I guess one thing that drew me to AA were the 12 steps. And I could just hear my mom in the back of my mind saying, one day at a time, Phillip. One day at a time. And bro, so I look up at the crowd, and like half of them are in tears and the other half are just in awe. They're like, whoa. The meeting leader, she's crying, but like she's shaking and crying so her boobs are bouncing. Wow, man, those things were nice. And then something catches my eye in the back as I'm scanning the crowd. And I see my mentor. He has his arms crossed, shaking his head like this mother. I cannot believe it. Turns out his meeting got canceled and he just so happened to come to this one. I hadn't noticed him the whole time. Well, needless to say, we kind of broke up after that. Hey, thank you everybody for coming. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me a chance. Y'all, I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night.